Welcome, low ego action heroes, and this is Debbie Levitt from DeltaCX.com. We're a full service CX and UX consultancy. Check us out if you get a spare moment. Hello to Kayleen. She's excited about this one. So am I. It's the first time in a really long time we've had a panel program. I had to change the names from Shannon Kelly, Maggie Pena, and Nick Morgan to today's guests. But of course, before we bring in today's guests who did some excellent disco dancing behind the scenes to our theme song, let's remember to please thank all of the low ego action heroes who have joined on YouTube and are paying for the membership there, which is completely optional but always appreciated. I ate too many chocolate chips today, but I'm grateful. And so special thanks to everybody who's paying between $3 and $10 a month to donate to the channel. Again, totally optional, but always appreciated. And so without any further delay, today's topic is getting your first job in UX. And we've got some fantastic people from the Slack community who've agreed to join. So let's get to know them if we don't know them already. So let's start by meeting Linda, Elliot, and Ralitza. And we'll just go in that order. And Linda, we'll start with you. Spell your name and introduce yourself to everybody.
All right. Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Linda. Linda, Lay. Lay as in the potato chips. Linda as in Karen, but not quite. Just kind of that along those lines. I started out. I went to MSU for UX, and then I graduated and went to work for a very large medical software company. Then I decided, hey, I really want to get back into the UX field, and so now I'm working as a software documentation specialist, and looking for a job. And yep, you can find me at laylinda.me or LinkedIn at laylindam.
Cool. Elliot, let's hear the short version of your story.
Hi, yeah. I started, oh God, like about 10 years ago, dipping my toe into web design and then immediately dropped out of it to go pursue a career in construction, which was great. And then didn't want to do that. I came back into web design. And at that point, UX was kind of the hot ticket item. And so I wanted to kind of enhance my tool set and get up to speed with everything that was going on in the industry. I went into a boot camp. I did some online courses, and now, many years later, I am currently working at a company called NTT Data, where we do contract work for the local provincial government. So that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, cool. So, Ralitza, tell us about you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rali Parusheva. It's Rali and Parusheva. And I am currently a UX researcher at a company called Impact Sense. Before that, I was a project manager, process manager, and a Scrum Master, Agile coach for quite a lot of time. More than 13 years. So I did a lot of coordination, project management, program management, process management work. And in 2020, I decided to transition. I actually self-studied to transition into UX and I was one of the apprentices for Debbie. So it was a really great experience and program. And that's how now I found my first job last year in November as a UX researcher. So that's it in a nutshell.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Good to meet everybody. And let's see what's cooking in the chat room. We've got a hello from Manuel and Janice and Laura, Steph, and Niku. So I wanted to start. I know everybody gave a little bit of an introduction there, and it's just to kind of go through it again. Let's talk about education. Let's go one at a time, of course, and let's find out what kind of UX education each of you did. So, Linda, tell us some more detail about that.
All right. So yeah, like I said, I went to the Experience Architecture program at Michigan State. It's a 4-year program. I did it for two. Technically because I came into college and I was like, I'm gonna be a researcher, but like a science researcher. I was going to, do research and pipette things and get my PhD in biomedical engineering. And then halfway
Sounds
through, I
like
was like,
me.
yeah. I think you did talk a little bit about how you were going to do pre med and stuff. Yeah, it's like it is a very it's kind of rough, especially like academia can kind of get to you a little bit. But in the meantime, in college, I found this program. I found this group called Design for America that's dedicated to helping people and creating social change through, and you're going to love this, design thinking. They teach design thinking to college students. And that was kind of where I got my introduction to this whole like UX, human centered design kind of framework. And after that, I decided, hey, this seems like a really nice kind of research. I'm going to switch over and tack on the experience architecture program as well. And then I started studying in the MSUXA program, and did that for 2 years and managed to finish out with both of those, which is why it was only for two. And Yeah, so in the XA program itself, you take a whole bunch of different classes that are related to a whole bunch of different things. Like there's an HTML, CSS class, there's one on interaction design, there's a couple on like just general UX research methods, and then there's a capstone project at the very end where you kind of collate everything that you were able to do over the course of 4 years and put it together, and present it to potential employers, I guess.
Okay, got it. And real quickly, before we talk about efforts people have put in to find a job, do you have your first UX job?
Nope, not yet. I'm still looking. I'm still interviewing places. I went after graduating. I wasn't quite sure if I was ready to be a UX designer. So I went over to a large medical software company and I was a technical services person for 3 years, which basically means you're the tech support for the tech support. But then like even though I was doing like UX projects and stuff there as well, I was like, I really wish that I could get back into doing this full time. So I decided like, I kind of got tired during the whole pandemic and was like, I'm gonna quit my job and fly to Korea. And that's what I did. And then I came back and was like, wait, so what do I do now? And I started trying to figure out like how I could go about looking for jobs and like applying places. And like, yeah, I was kind of lost. And then I found the Delta CX channel. It was really, really, really great. Thank you so much for doing this. And kind of just started trying to expand my knowledge base and going from there and applying to places on LinkedIn. And yeah, I'm still in the process of doing that, but it's definitely getting better.
All right, thanks for letting us know. So, over to Elliot. Tell us a little about
Yes,
your
yes.
educational background and if you have a job.
That's a tough act to follow. So my educational background is, I think, a little bit more simplistic. I went to the British Columbia Institute of Technology for their new media and web development program, which basically spans across everything. Like you dip your toe into web design and web development and filming and all kinds of stuff. That's sort of what started the ball rolling, and from then on it was mostly online courses, IDF. I got a little more education on there, and I managed to secure some work in the web design field, talking with seniors in the industry who are already pretty proficient in UX. So just chatting with them and kind of trying to sponge as much information as I could from them. Um, and then I kind of took a break from web design, and when I came back, as I said, like UX was the hot ticket item, so I wanted to educate myself further. So I went to, wasn't really sure how to do that, but a colleague of mine who I knew from BCIT had become an instructor at a boot camp that was kind of all the rage around here in the lower mainland. And so I went there for a few months and came out of it. And I'm sure we'll go into that a little bit more deeper. But after that, I realized I needed to get even more education if I wanted to uh, grow as quickly as I could in this industry. So it was more IDF, chatting with people already in the industry. I was lucky enough to do some Nielsen Norman courses as well, And that kind of brings me to where I am today. A lot of the um, experience that I've got has been on the job now, which I'm very, very thankful for. And yes, I do have a job in the industry right now.
Okay, so you found a job in 2018, I think.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
2018 was the.
Right. So you've been working for a few years. And let's hear Ralitsa's story, which I'm more familiar with, but let's hear it from you about your studies and whether or not you have your first job.
Yeah, I actually come from a very different background. My bachelor's degree is in economics. I was, as mentioned before, working with people for a lot of time, and I think I had like a lot of relevant skills for transitioning into the career. In terms of the UX kind of education I got, most of it was from IDF and other sources like books, different kind of books. I'm not going to name them all. It's just I did a lot of self-studying. At first I was doing a bit of more general courses, and then I really realized that UX research is something I'm very excited about, and I focused explicitly on just getting information and knowledge about that. And luckily enough, I was able to grab a spot in Debbie's first apprenticeship project, and that gave me an awesome foundation. It was amazing experience, and I learned a lot in the process. And then also did some freelancing. So yeah, it's and I was able to get my first job, as I mentioned, in November. But it's mostly self study. I just want to mention really quickly that I was considering a boot camp, and I'm very happy that I did not. A friend of mine actually mentioned, you know how it came to be. I was looking at different programs, and I was thinking, okay, this is the kind of programs I'm considering, um, and we were discussing the benefits of those, and I realized that there's barely any mentorship time, and it was just very back at then. I didn't know all the details about how much you need to work. I was just approaching it from a person that from a layman's perspective. So I didn't know how much information is needed, but I definitely thought that having 1 hour with a mentor per month is not enough. And that's one of the key reasons why I opted for self study. And actually, I was looking into Debbie for mentoring um, to supplement that. So that was my idea. And just wanted to briefly mention that. And that's luckily enough, someone pointed it out, and I was able to assess that in advance. And I didn't actually end up in a boot camp. So
And then you got your first job in November, which I know so I can share with everybody. But Kayleen wants to hear about the freelancing you did. So by freelancing, do you mean the work you did with me or other stuff?
yes, the work I did with you, that's what I mean. We did a couple of projects with Debbie. So yeah,
Yeah, after the
that's
apprenticeship program you
after the
did.
apprenticeship
Yeah.
program. Yeah.
Right. So Kayleen knows about that already. So yeah, that was some real projects we had. And you got to work with Larry.
Yes, that was really awesome. Yeah.
Yes, he's always neat to work with. So, and by the way, we've got lots of people in the chat today. So, if anybody has any questions or comments for our panelists, let me know. I'm keeping an eye on the chat room. We can ask those questions. So, let me know or share your story about what you're going through with job searching. So, I want to ask. First, I want to ask each of you, do you have a sense or a guess or an estimate of how many applications you put out? For Linda, it would be up to this point, and for the other two, it would be until you found that job. Linda, do you have a sense of how many job applications you've submitted?
Um, I don't think I really know, like, at this point. I've been trying not to keep track of the actual quantity because it made me sad. And it just seemed like at first I was just sort of, filling out all of those, oh, what are those? Like the online applications or little LinkedIn job alerts that you see. And it didn't feel like it was being particularly effective. So I started to try to strategize and become a little smarter. And so as things came up and I was like, oh, I think that I might have a good shot at this, I'd like apply. And so I do like a couple per week or so. and it still kind of wasn't like panning out there, but I want to say, if I can just give a really rough estimate, I'd probably say about 100 up to this point, which I know is not that much compared to like what when like people actually get their jobs. But I think that's about where it is right now.
And look, that's a lot. This is not a contest. This is just, so that people who are watching right now go, yeah, me too. Yeah, I feel it. I feel it. Ellie, do you remember how many you were applying to back in the day? Because we're going back a few years for you.
Over 100. I actually have a spreadsheet of all the places that I applied to.
Wow.
Um, I had to. It got to the point where I had to list out all the places I was applying to, mark who I applied to, when I followed, if when I followed up with them, what the response was,
That's a good
because
technique.
yeah, and it also helped me kind of sort out companies that were worth pursuing, companies that were showing some interest but hadn't started that ball rolling. And one of the things I would do is follow up with an email, and if I didn't hear anything, I'd kind of say, okay, I didn't hear from this person, and then a couple of days later, I'd just phone them and just say, are you hiring or not? In a more diplomatic way. um,
Are we going on a date or not?
yeah, tell me, I need money.
I love it.
This is the no ghosting in 2018 rule.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. It just got to a point where I think a lot of people experience where they sort of send an application out into the void and then they don't hear anything back. Which is happening way too common for me. So it got to a point where I have to phone and just find out. And usually you'll get an answer right off the bat of like, oh, we hired someone, we just haven't updated the job site yet, or oh, we're still looking, or oh, sorry, you didn't make it. Like you get answers a lot quicker, and then you don't have it. It takes a lot of stress off because you don't need to um, basically stress out about are they going to hire me or not? I don't know. You're sort of sitting up all night. So yeah, it's definitely the calling part is a little challenging at first, but you kind of get to a point where like you're like I'm so tired of trying to hunt for jobs. Like I had to get a job as like right out of boot camp. My first job was a dishwasher, and then working at Lowe's, which is the equivalent of Home Depot. So like I had to supplement myself with work to find my career. And it got to the point where it's like I don't want to wash dishes. I don't want to work here anymore. Are you hiring or not? That kind of thing.
Are we going steady?
Yes.
Do you love me?
Are we
Yeah, I hope.
moving in now?
Right, exactly. Are we getting a cat? I hope the panelists, I hope you can see on the screen some of the comments that are coming up. Everybody's being very supportive. I hope you can see those popping up. I got it working. And special thanks to Ugo Chukwu and Jay. I feel ya. I really, the job I'm working at right now, I asked specifically if I can please hire from Nigeria. And they said that I cannot because our company does not have an office in Nigeria. So please know I am trying to find more ways for all of the wonderful talent all over the world, but certainly in Nigeria, to find more opportunities. And I am still hitting a bit of a wall there. So I apologize for that, but know that I see you, and I'm doing what I can. But we don't have I don't have any work at Delta CX right now or an open opportunity. So I'm just keeping my eyes out for everybody. Shaunak says, people say stop sending applications all the time. Instead, should I use my network to connect with recruiters? Is that the best option? Why do certain companies say we're looking for candidates whose experiences align more to our goals? It's upsetting. They want a perfect candidate. Have any of you tried or did you try talking to recruiters or agencies to try to get a job? Maybe tell us about that experience, Linda?
Yeah, I think I had a lot more success once I stopped moving from like, just the general LinkedIn like job alert postings over to working directly with recruiters and like talking to my friends and stuff. So I'd have there are a lot of big recruiting companies, I think, for like tech freelancers, contractors, and like I guess if you're looking for a specific kind of job, it's kind of not necessarily the way to go. But if you're like, I just want to get my foot in the door, then then like it's a really good resource because I'd have a couple friends that would like put in like a recommendation or something into like Carex or Creative Circle or another one of like these big agencies, and then they just send you job alerts every so often. And because like they're coming directly from this agency, if you send in their resume, your resume along with their like approval, they're pushed forward, if that's the way to say it, then like I got a lot more success once I actually started working directly with the recruiters to do so.
Got it. And Elliot, I think you nodded to that as well. Recruiter experience?
Yeah, I went through a fair slew of recruiters. Unfortunately, not with much success, and I don't know if that's the on the recruiter end or my end or the jobs end, but I found often that recruiters would often be trying to tick a series of boxes based on a job description that a company would put out. And so when it came push to shove of me getting face to face, there'd be several things that would be missing on my qualifications that I do not have. But because I can wireframe, because I can prototype, they said, good enough. Get him in the line, and so you get your hopes up, and then when you get to the interview stage, it's like, actually, we're looking for someone with a bit more experience. So I found the recruiters were very much. Some of them are very helpful. Some of them are very friendly. Some of them wanted to just. You could tell after a while. You could tell which ones just wanted to get you a job to get some commission. um, and that's just the kind of the name of the game. You start to identify those a little more easily as the more recruiters that you have. And I over my tenure, I've bumped heads with a lot of recruiters. So yeah, definitely had some experience with them.
Yeah, I'll definitely want to talk about that in a moment. Ralisa, did you try working with recruiters?
I tried so many things I can't name it anymore. I didn't answer the previous question, but just wanted to say that I
Sorry.
sent a lot of applications and I had a lot of strategies. So I'm gonna name a few strategies. I did work with recruiters, but I was not successful with that. It was a hit and miss, and mostly actually used recruiters to give me feedback on my resume and my yeah, on my resume mostly because I didn't have a portfolio at that point. I also contacted recruiters if they had an open position and if they would consider a junior candidate. And I was not successful with that. How I found my job was through Slack groups, actually. There are a bunch of Slack groups that I'm a member of, and they have usually a jobs channel. And this is where the person that hired me posted. So that's something I recommend people doing.
Can you
And
share
that's how
which
I
groups
found my
those
job.
are?
It was, sorry?
Can you please share which groups those are?
Well, one is called Mixed Methods. I can send some of the Slack channel details. There's the designer hangout, the designer ship. We have UX mastery, design gigs for good. Yeah, and of course the Delta CX that I'm a member of. But the one I found was in Mixed Methods. So that is a specific one, more specific for research. So I don't know whether that's going to be very relevant for design jobs. But Designer Hangout, for example, has more focus on design UX design jobs, and they have like a kind of a submission form special that they do. And Design Gigs for Good has a mailing list where you can just subscribe and get them in your mailbox as well. So yeah, that's what really worked for me. I tried it all. I tried by actually personally reaching out to people, responding to LinkedIn posts. I tried also applying for, or on ads, job ads. I tried also like asking for recommendations, etc. So I actually went through a lot of iterations of my CV and then my portfolio when I did it. So I would also send when I didn't still have my portfolio. I would send like a short sample project PDF. But yeah, I tried a lot of strategies. So let me know if you want to hear more about any of those. So
Yeah, and Kayleen is wondering if you had asked recruiters for resume or CV feedback, and if you ever paid for resume or CV feedback, which is another good question for our other guests after Ralitza says, like if you paid for any career coaching or a resume writer or rewriter.
No, I didn't pay for anything. Actually, I had access to a recruitment, how you call it? It was the Manpower Group, and so because of my previous job, I had a subscription, and I was able to access. They have recruiters which would work with you for your CV and would help you beautify it. But I didn't pay. Long story short, I didn't pay for study for resume feedback. Every recruiter or person I reached out to was more than happy to provide a 30-minute call for free and
Hmm.
resume feedback for free. I wasn't asked for money, so I wouldn't pay for that. I mean, of course, you have to be respectful and only ask for people to like that would consider doing that, not just randomly reaching out to everyone. I also asked more. I guess part of the reason was that I was also asking people that I knew or I had some kind of connection to, which meant that they would either know me or they would be able to, or were willing to help me in some way, shape, or form. I also attended meetups, by the way, and in meetups you can meet a bunch of people that will be willing to share some feedback with you. So that's something I forgot to mention about the job application. That is also a way to network and meet people. That's how I met one of the recruiters, and she actually was very. She gave me very useful feedback on my resume and a 30-minute call. So that's one way to also meet people that potentially could give you feedback on either a portfolio or a resume, but via meetups, free ones or paid ones, whatever you prefer.
Yeah, and let's also mention that if people are joining Slack channels, there's also IXDA has a Slack community with over 7,000 people in it and a jobs channel. If you've ever taken an NNG course, which I know is very expensive, they do have a Slack community and a jobs channel. So this sounds like a great way to learn about jobs at all levels. Larry says, a note of encouragement. Even I had a hard time finding the right job. Hiring managers often describe the job differently from the job posting. They asked for senior UX, but the role was more junior. Yeah, when I first met Larry, he was having trouble finding a job, and so was I. And it was like, how can the two of us be having trouble finding a job? So we want to make sure everybody out there knows you are not alone. I want to circle back to Linda and Elliot and ask if you have received or paid for any resume writing or career coaching services. I'll start with Elliot.
No, well, actually, yes. The boot camp that I attended, part of the tuition was having a career coach kind of hang out with you for like the first month after you're done your boot camp. And so I would meet with her, I think once a week, just go over potential job prospects, my resume. But it didn't really amount to much. I was one of, I think, like 30, 40 people that was seeing her. So I didn't have to really pay other than that. But otherwise, no, I never really paid anyone to uh, look at revamp my resume. I often just will take it to a friend that I know who's already established in the industry or someone I trust, and just have them look it over. Um, I also like I had my mom look at it, and she's actually watching this right now. So hi, mom. Um,
Hi, Elliot's mom.
she she looked at my resume few times because she's an academic. She's actually a professor at the University of British Columbia and a curator at the Museum of Anthropology. Shameless plug. So getting her insight of like how to properly um, present yourself was big. So having her in my back pocket was great. And but yeah, it was mostly just always tweaking it. I found that whenever I looked at my resume, I always like make an adjustment or change wording, or just it was one of those things where I can't look at it for too long, otherwise you end up scrapping it and rebuilding it over and over and over again.
Totally agree. Every time I look at mine, I go, oh my God, how do I get any job? I need to fix this. Linda, how about you? Resume services, career coaching?
Oh yeah. So I don't think I've actually reached out to any career coaches yet, except I think when I was beginning the very beginnings of my search. Um, and I just talked to somebody about like, what does it take to become a UX researcher? And like she gave me some advice on like where to look and how to start applying for jobs. But and this is kind of weird because I know it's kind of intimidating for some folks, but I just started cold calling. Like I would start reaching out to people on the internet or on LinkedIn that I was like, hey, I really like your portfolio. I really like, I don't know, like these experiences that you had. Can I like just talk to you for like half an hour or so and ask you questions about your life and like how you did this? And then like, people would usually, I would like talk to them about what they've done and like look at their portfolio experiences. And then like, they'd sometimes like take a look at what I had written there as well, and like tell me, oh yeah, you could phrase this a little bit better. There's also a bunch of different Discord groups that I'm in, and a couple Slack channels that I would reach out and I'd ask for some feedback. Sometimes it's really hit or miss, especially with like Discord and ADP, because you have people with like a whole range of different experiences. Like maybe somebody's a UI designer and they're looking at your portfolio and they're like, oh, I think that like your UX research portfolio might need like a couple more pictures. Like, that's not quite necessarily what it should do. But I think that like the best feedback I got was from Debbie, actually. Thank you very much for
Oh,
that.
thank you.
Where like, yeah, you looked at my portfolio and actually told me where to fix certain things. There's also, and I know that, oh, what's it called? ATS, applicant tracking systems.
Oh, right. The things that scan
Where
your resume and try to find
Yeah,
keywords and stuff. Yeah.
the website that was recommended to me was called resumeworded.com, and I'm trying to add all of these like websites and Slack groups and things into the
How do you
document that I
spell that?
keep running.
Resume.
Resume worded. Let me make sure
Oh,
that I'm
like
actually
W O
telling you.
R D E D?
Uh, yes. Let
Okay,
me
I
just
haven't
double
seen that
check that
one.
for you.
Not
It's
sponsored. And will it tell you how your resume looks to an ATS system?
Yep. You just like put it in there. You can put your LinkedIn profile in there too, and it'll just it'll crunch through your resume and it'll tell you like how the ATS system thinks about it. I think Monster.com also has something that's very similar to it, but yeah, these different. Unfortunately, ATS is kind of a name of the game at this point, where you feel like your actual paper resume has to be written more for a machine than an actual person.
Totally agree. We were just talking about this in the Delta CX Slack. If you haven't joined the Delta CX Slack, it is completely free. Come on over, deltacx.com/links. There's over 1,500 people joined and about one or 200 people active at any given time. It's a friendly, supportive, helpful place. We were just talking about this, and I put my resume in, and it claimed it couldn't pick up my work experience because I didn't start the section with work experience. So I was like, okay, go back to my resume and write work experience at the top of that section. I was stupid. I thought like, well, a human would see this and realize this is my work experience. But you're right. We now have to write these things for machines and not for humans. Shaunak says, do references help boost your chances? A recruiter that reached out is suggesting I have them. I haven't had a company check my references in a very long time. I don't check people's references. The last time I checked someone's references as a hiring manager, they all lied to me. I found out later when I fired that person that they had all lied to me because they felt sad for their friend and just wanted to see her get a job. So they lied about her, shall we say, rather obvious flaws. So I don't check references anymore. Usually it's okay to write at the bottom of your resume, references available upon request. And nowadays I tell people, just go read my LinkedIn recommendations. So I just collect LinkedIn recommendations where I can. I ask people who I've liked working with to please leave me a LinkedIn recommendation, and I leave them one. And now people can go see what people said about me, because the whole calling the references thing, no one's ever going to give a reference of someone who hates them. So, like, the whole thing is just bad UX research. So there's that. I wrote down recruiters because I wanted us to talk a little bit about good and bad recruiters. And I wanted to say briefly that from my experience, the good recruiters want to have a call with you and get to know you, whether or not the job they happen to mention to you is a fit. They're people who want to get to know some of your strengths and preferences in your job. They make some notes about you. And because they make money when they find you a job. The people who I tend to not make time for, at least not anymore, are basically, and we talked about this in a past Delta CX show. So I think if you search YouTube for Delta CX recruiters, you'll find it. But we had Lee on, and we were talking about how some recruiting companies are just call centers, and they just find open jobs and they try to find people and they try to plug the two together. They don't want to talk to you. They can't answer any questions about the job. They have no relationship there. They're just trying to submit resumes and make money. So I typically don't respond to those people or give them my time. But if a recruiter says to me, hey, I'd like to talk to you and see if this job is a fit, or really, a recruiter is pretty good when they say, I want to talk to you and learn what you're looking for, that's usually someone I will give my time to. Any of you want to add anything to that about how you can tell a recruiter you want to talk to versus one you want to ghost or avoid?
I could jump in there.
Great.
Generally, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like someone that definitely wants to know your background or your expertise, your story, essentially, and actually you'll be able to tell if you can tell that they're actually genuinely interested in it. I think that's a big plus for me. I've had recruits who listen to me and like they say, "Well, why did you turn into a bit of a user interview?" Because they kept asking me, "Why did you do that? Oh, how come you did that?" To dig a little, learn more about myself. And so I always, I'm very appreciative for someone who wants to like do the research on me and make sure I'm a good fit for a company. But on the flip side, there are some that just sort of spam your LinkedIn with, hey, here's a generic message of this job that you require to have 10 years experience and you need to know JavaScript as well as wireframing, as well as user interviews and C++. I think you'd be a great fit. And I'm like, would I though? So you can filter them out pretty easily, I think. And also when you're on the phone with someone, definitely their mannerisms, how they chat to you is a big one. I've had some recruiters who are very bubbly and friendly and easy to chat with. I've had some that kind of like, so what did you do when you were at this company? Oh yeah, oh, that's great. Yeah, you kind of just pass out at the other end, and as someone who's a job seeker trying to find it, you're trying to be all, oh well, I do this, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, that's great. So do you know JavaScript? No? Okay, well, I'll see you later. So that experience has actually happened to me before. It's like, have you worked with this development tool? No, I'm a designer. And like, oh, okay, well, this is strictly for
Bye.
more of a development role. Why are you calling me? So
Right.
yeah.
You called me. Yeah. I want to, we only have about 20 minutes left. And hi, Jamila. I want to ask each of you, and I'll start with Ralita, especially since I feel like I lived through your job search with you, because you were working with me at the time, which, by the way, you were excellent. And I wish I could have kept you at my company, but I'm so proud that you got a real job other than me. I want to ask, how did you keep your spirits up in a universe of stupid job descriptions and terrible interviews and being ghosted? I want to ask each of you how you've kept your spirits up in an ugly job search. Ralitza, what did you do to keep your spirits up or take care of yourself?
Very nice question. Thanks, Deb. And you are one of the reasons to keep up my spirits. I think finding a very good, helpful community is very important. Talking about things, but not too much, because there's a line I feel some people cross. And I know a lot of people like to make that a way to attract more attention to themselves. And I think people genuine will help you if you're genuine in reaching out and just sharing how you feel about something. That is not to say that, oh, don't share your pain or whatever, but I feel there's a way and manners to do that. um what kept me up is also that keeping making sure that I'm doing things right, because of course there's circumstances you don't control but circumstances you control. So if like I was working on my portfolio, I was trying to improve it, I kept applying, and then I started thinking, okay, what can I do now? Can I do my own projects while I'm what can I do that I would be excited about doing and that can probably improve my portfolio or improve my experience, and just keep experimenting, sharing, asking for advice, asking what could be improved, etc. But not too much. That's just my personal take. I hope people don't get offended by it, but that's how I kept my spirits up. And just remember that everything has an end, a beginning and an end, and that it will eventually, if you put in the work and make sure that every day what is up to you you're doing, eventually things will pan out. If this is really your field, if you're really, and there's something else to think about as well. Do you actually fit the field? Because you have to ask yourself, is that my job? Is that my profession? Because sometimes rejection is also a signal, maybe I should try something else. But when you know it's not you, and that this is something you really like doing, this is something you're excited about, this is something you're good at, and this is something you've actually worked a lot towards learning more about, eventually things will change. And it's very hard to keep track of that. So I can totally relate. But yeah, that's how I did it.
And I want to remind everybody that it was about a year and a half between when you started my apprenticeship project and when you got that job.
Yeah.
And so it was not like, ooh, go into Deb's apprenticeship project and 3 months later you're going to get a job. I can't guarantee anybody a job. And it still took you a year and a half, and you had really lovely work and a nice portfolio. So, just a reminder to everybody that even some of our newbies who are doing some good things and have something good to show for it, it is not there. There doesn't seem to be a fast track for most people, into the work. So I'll switch over to Linda. And Linda, since you're in the process of looking for a job, how do you keep your spirits up and wake up the next day and go, here we go again?
Oh yeah. You know, it sounds cheesy, but like since I kind of like already like after like a lot of searching, soul searching, is that the right? After a lot of like thinking, I decided like, this is what I really really want to do, and I'm just going to keep going until I get it. And that's kind of like one of the big things that keeps me going, is that like, I found what I really really want to try and keep doing. And so like, no matter how long it takes, I'm eventually going to get there, and that's that kind of spirit that keeps on going. There's that, and then there's also just reaching out and talking to people that are in the same kind of boat. I think I mentioned before that I had just been like cold calling people on LinkedIn. I've talked to everybody that's had like maybe 2 months like at a job or looking for a job or with like 20 years of experience. And so I've just been like talking to them and like learning about their stories, and I guess doing user research on the user research field, in a way that has been like super helpful in just being able to like talk and commiserate with others. And then there's also just like groups like the Delta CX Slack. And then there's a couple other like Discords and Slacks that I'm in where you can talk to other people that are a lot in this, or that are also in the same boat, that are also searching, and make friends and connections that way. And just having that same like kind of sort of community spirit where, if you don't feel like you're alone in the job search, that's the biggest thing. If you feel like you're like by yourself and you're like isolated, that's going to be the biggest like spirit killer. But if you're actually, if you have like a support group of people that can all talk about like, your struggles and how to make things better, that's always like a huge benefit. to the point that some other folks that I was talking to, they mentioned like, I don't have a resource like this. I don't really know where to get together with other people looking for UX jobs and talk together. And so we had our first air meet a couple days ago called the UX Job Seekers and Junior Jam. And out of that, people said they wanted to have like a Slack channel created. They wanted like a list of resources. So I'm trying to figure out how to when to put that on again. That like UX an event for UX job seekers and UX juniors to just kind of come together and talk about their experiences in the industry. So there's a lot of different things like that. There's a lot to do, and they're just keeping that mindset of going forward.
Cool. And before I ask Elliot the same question, let's speak to Ugo Chuku's question, which was, what can someone who hasn't worked professionally as a UX designer do while seeking a UX job? Should I keep doing personal projects or keep redesigning the portfolio or learn some front-end programs and try to make myself more attractive? Now, I'll give you the chance to each answer that question if you'd like, but my advice would probably be to, if you know you want to be a UX designer, I would keep learning more and more things related to UX design so that you can stand out from other candidates by being more knowledgeable and showing how you apply that knowledge. For example, not a lot of people trying to find a UX design job have read the Information Architecture for the Web and Beyond 4th edition book. Not sponsored, but that's a really important book. It's really important to know about information architecture if you want to be a designer. It's good for everybody, but especially for design. And a lot of people don't know information architecture, aren't using those techniques in their work. So I would say if you have time and you have money for some of these books, learn information architecture. If you can do a sample project, especially with some mentoring or coaching, so someone can check your work and help you level up and get better, that would be important too. Then you're looking for apprenticeships and things like that. Anything any of you want to add to any suggestions for people watching live or later who might wonder, I still haven't found that job. What should I focus on right now? Linda.
I just want to jump in quickly.
Oh, sorry. Linda,
Sorry.
then Veralica.
I would say that the biggest thing I've seen that's made a difference for me and that's made a difference for other people was just having some kind of hands-on experience. Like I think a lot of people, I like self-studying things. Self-studying things is great, but UX is a professional discipline. So at some point, you're going to have to be able to apply the stuff in order to show people that like you can actually do these things. And so being able to link up with like a nonprofit or like another person or somebody that's looking for UX research, UX design work for themselves, and be able to have like a case study of like, this is what I did for this person, like this is how I applied all these different things. That I think once I was able to start doing that like in my free time and I started documenting that, that was a huge game changer in the number of like interviews and like callbacks that I was getting on my application. Because I think before that, it was all just school projects. But once I actually started working with somebody on this thing, and the way I found them was that I translate manga and stuff in my free time. And so I had been using this app to learn Japanese then. And I was part of his Discord community. And so I just reached out to him and was like, hey, I like your app, but you want me to help you make it better? Not quite like that. But, it was something sort of similar, and so like he was very receptive to it, and so I started doing like some user research and analysis of the app, and then I wrote about it, and that was a huge, like I said, a huge game changer in the number of interviews and stuff that I was getting calls back for and stuff.
Okay, that's
So yes,
interesting.
those personal projects.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Ralitza, sorry to interrupt you before.
Yeah, before I give the floor to Elliot, because he still hasn't answered some of the questions, I just wanted to say that if you can't find an internship or apprenticeship, definitely get a mentor, because Debbie was instrumental in me improving my work. Because the moment you improve your knowledge and your work, people will notice that in whatever you produce, whether it's going to be your portfolio or how you describe problems, how you work, how you respond to questions in interviews, and you have more confidence in what you can do so you can speak with more authority about it. So, and you're actually learning things right and doing things right. So that's essential, I feel, to do. If you can't, if you're doing a project, personal project, get someone to with actual experience to actually comment on that and critique and give you feedback on it. That's something I really wanted to mention.
Thanks. Elliot, we owe
Um,
you some time.
it's all good. Um, I'm just gonna pretty much echo what Linda and Erlika said. The non looking for non for profit organization. That's something I looked into before, and there's often a huge need for UX design or research in those areas, and keeping a pulse on your community as well, kind of growing within there. And mentors is the big one. I have Michelle, who's just amazing, and I always say to myself, I wish I'd met you like 5, 6 years ago, because she's absolutely instrumental. Like an evening or a chat with her is, I get more information out of her than I do 3 months out of boot camp. So um, definitely find a mentor to kind of help guide you, to help facilitate like any interview questions that might come up, or any experiences you want to dive into. And yeah, I mean, just like be involved with your community is a big one. Like my first UX job I got, I had applied to a place, and I went to a meetup that evening and met two of the designers who worked at that place, and got along with them so well. And then got a phone call from their HR the following day saying, "Hey, do you want to come in for an interview? So and so and so and so really liked you," and so that kind of pushed me to the front of the line. So just again, like expanding your network, expanding your community, um, being able to just sort of be involved with the industry around you, I think is huge to keep yourself going and keep yourself motivated too. Because when you're looking for work, I'm sure everyone's experienced this. They not imposter syndrome, self doubt. I've heard Darren Hood slap people on the wrist for saying that. So you have a lot of self doubt for that that I've experienced, and it sucks. But if you just surround yourself with positive people in the industry who understand, who have undoubtedly gone through what you've gone through, it'll help you slog through until you eventually do find that first job. It did for me anyway.
Yeah, thanks for that. Going back a zillion years for me, I got my first corporate job because I came from consulting and running my own business, which I still do. But then I went into working in regular jobs, and I got that through a recruiter. And the recruiter had a crappy job that nobody wanted, and I was trying to get my foot in the corporate door, having not had a corporate job before, so I looked weird on paper. And I was willing to take the crappy job that nobody else wanted. And it was a weird job, but I met great people and I got my foot in the door. It was a weird job. Linda's making faces. It was a weird job because it was at a famous company that was in the process of like an acquisition. And so I was going into the team that was slowly being fired because their jobs were being moved to another country. And so it was this weird environment where they still needed people to do the work before they moved all the jobs away. But while I'm there, it's like everybody's last day because they're getting rid of all of these people to send the jobs because of being acquired. And so it was a very strange environment. And a lot of people said, what? A 3-month contract that has no chance of being renewed at a company where who knows if my work is going to matter and blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't want it, because I guess a lot of people felt like they didn't want that because it was, back in, this was like 2011 turning to 2012. So this was obviously at the height of when you needed a lot of UX talent, and it was pre-boot camp. So it was like, where are we going to get these people? We need people who are breathing. And so I was like, yeah, well, I'm trying to get my foot in the corporate door with a weird resume or CV. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take it. I mean, I went into debt working there because it paid so little. I had to run up my credit cards, but I was like, and again, privileged that I had credit cards and could go into debt. But that's where I started in corporate jobs, and did the 3 month contract and made some lifelong friends and nice contacts. And then before that contract ended, my phone was ringing from another recruiter who said, "We want you over at this company for a little bit more money." And it was like once I had a job, it was easier to get a job. And maybe Elliot, now that you've been in UX for 3, 4, whatever years, I don't, are you still at your 2018 job, or have you found that once you got a job, it was easier to get other jobs?
Absolutely. There's
It's
just
really the first. The
it's
first is the mountain.
it's oh god, I can't underline how evident that is. When I left my first job, I thought, oh god, am I gonna have to wait like 2 years to find another one? But it was literally less than a month until I was working somewhere else. So yeah, it is very much like once you kind of get your foot in the door, for some reason, it's easier to get another job.
I would say that's very true. Once you get that first job, it's a lot easier to get that second job because now you have some experience. Hopefully, you have more to show in your portfolio. You can show you've worked at an agency, a corporation, a startup, whatever it is, and it really, really counts so much more than your practice projects and sample projects and things that you might be showing now. So I know it's tough for everybody out there, but once you get that first project, I'm sorry, your first job, it does get better. So knowing we have 3 more minutes to the show, I'm gonna give everybody the chance to say some closing words and let everybody know if they want to connect with you, where they can find you, whether you're a tweeter or LinkedIner or Twitcher or something else. We'll start with Ralica. Where can everybody find you and connect with you?
I'm usually on LinkedIn. Just type my name, Ralitsa Porusheva, and you will find me. I don't do Instagram or Twitter or anything like that. Neither Facebook. So LinkedIn is pretty much the way. You can also find me on my portfolio, which is available on my LinkedIn as well, but it's ralitsaporusheva.com. It's my website. I also have contact form there, so if you want to reach out, get it there. Yeah, and in closing, I just want to wish everyone good luck. And yeah, if you feel like chatting about something, just drop me a message. More than happy to help in some way, shape, or form.
Awesome, thank you. Elliot, how about you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn for sure. Just look at my name, Elliot Mayer, and you'll probably come across my face, I hope. Um, and yeah, just shoot me a message on that. That's probably the one place I'm pretty active on. I have a Twitter account, but I never really use it. But so LinkedIn would be the best one for sure. I would say, in closing, if you're looking for your first job, definitely don't give up. It's a slog sometimes. Sometimes it happens in a month. Sometimes it happens, as you've heard, 1 to 2 years. So just keep going and just understand that there are people out there that are willing to hear your story and give you advice. And like I'm one of them. Ralik is one of them. I'm sure Debbie's obviously one of them. Linda as well. Like everyone it's like I think one of the great things that I've learned through this process is that the community is just very, very, very supportive in this sphere. So definitely reach out to people, cold call as Linda said, and just yeah, just know that you're not the only one. I think that's a big thing for me anyway. But yeah, thanks.
So true. Thanks. Thanks to both of you for being here and to Linda as well. Linda, where can we find you? What's your closing words? And then I'll give everybody my closing words.
All right. Yeah. No, thank you so much. You can find me at laylinda.me. That's my website. It's just the .me extension.
Remember,
And I'm
Linda's
more of
looking
a
for a job, everybody. Hire her.
thanks for the plug. My LinkedIn is like Laylinda M. I'm more of a LinkedIner. Twitter and Twitch are for my manga streaming stuff. If you're interested in that, sure, but it's not sure. But like my LinkedIn is where you can find me for all the other things. Also, if you are watching this and you're also looking for a UX job, I'm sending out my follow-ups from our UX Job Seeker and Junior Jam today, which is the link to the Discord channel, as well as a link to all the website, the resources and like beginner UX resources that we accumulated during the discussion. So if you would like me to send you both of those links, definitely please send me a connection request or on LinkedIn or just a message on my website, and I will get those to you too.
Wonderful. And of course, I follow your cat on Instagram. So
Yes, that's right.
just
Post a lot of cat pictures.
yes, your cat seems to be doing very well, which I'm happy to report. And some final closing words from me. Everybody, please remember to subscribe. And if you can think of at least 3 friends who might enjoy this channel and these shows, please let them know about the Delta CX YouTube verse. We're going to do another panel like this next month with 3 other people. So again, we'll get some more different stories and advice. You can tune into that. You can always go to deltacx.com/links to see all the links related to the show, including a calendar of events. So that will tell you all the shows that are coming up, including the next Trouble Finding UX Jobs panel number 2 coming in May. So, check that out. And what else was I going to say other than subscribe, and tell people. I think that covers everything. So I'm going to play us out of here, but I'll see. Thanks so much to our panel for joining and being such good sports about sharing their stories and advice. And of course, continue good luck to all of you and everyone watching. And I will see everybody Friday for practicing critical thinking. Thanks and bye. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are